Perfect. Thank you.
The first governing board for which we will have a candidate speak will be the disciplinary board. Disciplinary board members uphold integrity and discipline within our community by handling sensitive matters involving clergy and lay employees. This role requires strong ethical standards, discretion, and a willingness to gain a thorough understanding of canon law. The disciplinary board requires an orientation and readiness to act promptly if needed. The board convenes only if a Title IV disciplinary case arises. We have one candidate so far, Lori Garrison, for one open layperson position for a 3-year term, but she is unable to be with us tonight. You can take some time to view her candidate description on the annual convention webpage. And there is one clergy person for a 3-year term that is open for the disciplinary board. And we have one clergy person who is running, the Reverend Mary Cockett. Mary, please take some time to introduce yourself and share why you are running for this disciplinary board and what you would bring to the position.
Thanks, Katie, and thanks you all for being on this. So my name is Mary. I'm a recently retired rector in this diocese from Cody, Wyoming. I have served in congregations in 3 dioceses and also in hospital chaplaincy and prison ministry in a 4th diocese. I bring a sense of confidentiality and openness and willingness to do this job, as well as now in my life, a little bit more time to be able to respond on a dime in a way that maybe I couldn't do when I was working. I'm also really interested in the possibility, though I won't push it if it turns out this is not the direction the diocese wants to go. But I wrote about this a little bit, is I would like the disciplinary board to be a little more proactive, not in discipline, but in communicating what the process looks like in this diocese, making sure that everybody knows who we all are, and having a slightly higher profile than has been my experience with the disciplinary board and its work in years past. Truth in advertising, honestly, am running for this spot because I noticed that nobody was. And I thought that somebody should do this work. It's important work. And I am perfectly willing, if there is anyone else on this Zoom or anyone else in this diocese who's ordained, who is also interested in this work, to step aside and allow someone else to do this work. But when I noticed nobody had signed on to be a candidate, I prayed about it and thought this is something that I could do.
Just a quick thank you so much, Mary. A quick note. So, and Mary, you have told me you want to run unopposed essentially. The composition of the disciplinary board, just for everyone to understand, is 9 members. So it's 5 clergy, 4 lay, and so there happened to be the 1 clergy and 1 lay position open this term, just to ensure there's clarity on that. All right, Katie, you want to?
I'm happy to answer any questions. I know this is not the hotly contested election or position, so if nobody has any questions, I'm happy to entertain questions at any time between now and convention or on the convention floor as well.
Okay, we've got one question from Miranda.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Miranda. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, I'm doing very well, thank you. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your vision for some greater transparency for this board. I think that sounds really interesting. Just want to hear more what you're thinking.
Yeah, I think transparency is really not the word that I would use, but just more information about this board and about the process. I think in my years in this diocese, which are legion, we all just have that idea that, bad things don't happen here. And so on a wing and a prayer, we say we have a disciplinary board and then we forget it. And I'm thinking, bad things can happen anywhere, and a little proactive communication and clarity about what the Title IV process looks like, what would happen, who's on the disciplinary board, might be helpful for all of us as we in this diocese, I think, are trying to live in a deeper and healthier covenant in behavior with one another. So I think that's what I'd say. Not, and you may not mean when Miranda, when you say transparency, like I immediately think, oh, there's, smoke-filled back rooms somewhere doing Title IV work. I just don't think much Title IV work really happens here, and certainly a lot of it has to stay confidential. But and so I'm not saying like, oh, let's say how many Title IV accusations came out this year. I just think that everybody should know what that looks like and have a little bit more information in front of them more regularly, maybe in the spirit or other ways to communicate around the diocese about what they can expect. If they need to call for help to the intake officers, or if someone else called for help against them to an intake officer, what that would look like.
Thank you. And
Thanks,
sorry for
Brenda.
the poor word choice. My brain is
No,
still
it wasn't. I think it's a
slightly
great.
liquid this week. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, this is Vern. I have one question for you, Mary.
Thanks, Vern.
The things that I think people don't understand about Title IV or, executive session and school board and all of those sorts of things are what exactly has to be confidential. And
Hmm.
how would you go about explaining that to, a church whose minister is being accused of something and they don't know what it's about and they're worried and scared and so on?
So, also truth in advertising, I am no expert in the diocesan level Title IV practice as it's happening now. But the way I would think about this is part of what I was sharing with Miranda, that I think it's really important to get information out to the body before an accusation takes place, so that there is some general shared knowledge of what this looks like, especially because of the confidentiality requirements for a lot of it. That feels, I think, to people in a small town, which is all of Wyoming, sometimes like a slap in the face. Like, oh, I can't, I think I should be able to know everything, right? We all know, we're all in each other's business. But if we knew in advance, this is how this process works. This is what can be talked about in the process, and this is what can't. I think we are more inoculated against some of that anxiety. And then, secondly, and excuse me if this is already happening, I would want to make sure that congregations who are impacted in some way by a Title IV process, that they would have some pastoral support by someone in the diocese that would be an appropriate person to walk with them and be their contact person when folks have questions.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vernon. Good question. And thanks, Miranda.
All right, any more questions?
Thanks, you all. And I feel somewhat guilty, like eating and running, or now I'm running and eating. But I am dining with the senior warden in Pinedale, and I need to get to dinner. But again, reach out to me anytime if you think of any questions you have, or if this is recorded and you're watching the recording and there was a question you had that wasn't asked here, feel free to reach out.
Thanks so much, Mary. Great. Christian, are you ready for the next one?
Sure. Well, we now come to time for the position of Deputy to the General Convention. Those who serve in this capacity represent the Diocese of Wyoming in the House of Deputies at the 82nd General Convention of the Episcopal Church. This is going to be held July 3rd through 8th of 2027 in Phoenix, Arizona. And deputies participate in the legislative process and have the option of serving on committees before and during the convention. Although there are 6 legislative days, plus travel days, deputies will be expected to attend preparatory Zoom meetings, which will become more frequent in the year before the General Convention. As part of their preparation, the Wyoming deputation will use Sacred Ground, the film and reading-based dialogue series on race, to fulfill a House of Deputies requirement for all deputies to have obtained anti-racism training. The open positions for Wyoming's General Convention deputation include 4 layperson deputies, 4 clergyperson deputies, 4 layperson alternatives, and 4 clergyperson alternatives. At the annual convention, we will hold 1 election for lay deputies and 1 election for clergy deputies, with the top 4 vote getters in each category being named deputies and the next 4 vote getters being named alternatives. Alternatives play an important role in the deputation and still travel to the General Convention if 2 years from now elected deputies are no longer able to attend the General Convention for any reason, then alternates shift to become deputies. As you'll see with the number of candidates we have plenty of opportunities for people to step up and serve as deputies. So please be on the lookout for folks who might be interested in serving. Nominations will also be taken at the annual convention. For the lay deputy position, we only have 1 candidate so far, April French. April, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are running for the position as a lay deputy for the General Convention and what you would bring to this position.
Thank you, Christian. So it's definitely not that I like the heat in Phoenix in July. So that's, but yeah, I'm grateful to, I guess, nominate myself again for this position. I served last year as a deputy for the Diocese of Wyoming at the 81st General Convention. And it was illuminating to me in many ways. And I realized even when I was there, oh gosh, these are my people. I'm a bit of a church nerd. So I was grateful to take part in that. Last year, I was also the secretary of a legislative committee on social justice and international policy and was able to really create solid friendships with folks from around the world in that work. And so I'd be very honored to have any of your votes.
And are we waiting till after for all the questions or go through each one of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just waiting. Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we currently have 4 candidates for clergy deputy positions. We'll start with the Reverend Chris Galligan. Chris, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are running for a position as clergy deputy for General Convention, including what you would bring to it.
Hi there. I am Chris Galligan. I am a deacon serving Region 1. I have been a deacon for 12 years now, the first 10 of those years at Christ Church in Cody, and the last 2 years serving all sorts of wonderful positions in Region 1 and absolutely loving it. I was a delegate to the 80th General Convention, which, if you know anything about the 80th one, it was a bit bizarre. It was right after everything opened up a little bit again from COVID, and we were all masked, and events were canceled. We were to go to the floor and vote, and then back to our hotels. And that experience of being able to interact and get to know people from all across the United States and the world, in fact, was very, very limited. My reason for wanting to go to that one as a deacon was to connect with other deacons. And there's some great organizations out there, the Association for Episcopal Deacons, um, that was hoping to gather together and do some events and, help support each other. And that didn't happen. And so I was real disappointed in that part of it. I gained so much from the experience of being there and the opportunity to be a part of the world or the wider church in the world. And I would really like to go to this convention to maybe fulfill that dream that I had hoped for before, bringing the world to Wyoming and being a part of something bigger than our little community with long streets. So I will, my goal is to be a retired teacher by then. It will put me at 40 years of teaching. I'm hoping to retire in 2027, and I'm going to have all sorts of time to do all sorts of great things for the Diocese of Wyoming, and I think this would be a great way to kick that off.
Thank you. Now for the Reverend James Stewart. Jim, please introduce yourself and share why you are running for a position as clergy deputy for General Convention, including what you would bring to this position.
So my name's Jim Stewart. I was raised up actually at your church in St. Mark's in Cheyenne. I was raised up as a deacon. I was raised up as a priest, and that was about 2012 and 2015. And then shortly after that, I took over as the vicar at St. Christopher's there in Cheyenne. I was raised up to a priest in charge, and I just had too many things on my plate at the time, so I had to give that position up. And I started doing supply priest all over the state of Wyoming. So I've got to go and see all kinds of churches all over our state, see how the people feel, how the people react. And then finally I was asked to take a position as the rector at St. Albans here in Worland. So I took a position in Worland. I originally retired is what I was doing. And then they called me to be the rector over at Worland. So I came to Worland, and since I've had just time to concentrate on churches, I've been on the standing committee, on the property committee, and any other thing that's come up. So it's been a joy to do that. I've also had sacred ground training and soul shop, and had some other trainings with suicide prevention. And I just figured this was the time now that I've got time to do it. I've always wanted to go to General Convention, wanted to take the thoughts of Wyoming and the ideas of the Wyoming people to convention, and then bring the convention ideas back to us. So I thought this was a really good time for me to jump in with both feet. And I'd appreciate everybody's vote if they wanted to vote for me.
Thank you, Jim. Next on the list is the Reverend Cami Dewey. Is Cami on? Or am I missing somebody?
Actually, I have not seen Cami yet.
Okay.
So
She was planning on being here. I'll text her and see if there's something amiss.
Okay, we'll move on to while we wait for the Reverend Melinda Bobo. Please introduce yourself, including why you're running for a position as clergy deputy for General Convention and what you would bring to this position.
Thank you. I'm Melinda Bobo. I am the interim rector at Trinity Episcopal Church in Lander, and I have been to General Convention as a deputy 3 times, and it's just been an incredible experience to be around people from all over the world that are kin, and getting to see and hear about the things they handle, the things they're going through. Jim, very much like you, my part of the reason why I wanted to go was because of wanting to be able to bring Wyoming to the larger church, because there's so many times when it seems like our situation is completely off the radar. What's also fascinating is to discover how many other places have similar experiences to us. And so for us to be able to make contact with those people, we can speak with a larger voice, and remind the church that it's not always urban and suburban, that much of it's rural. I also do think it's really important for us to take back things from the larger Episcopal Church, and we don't always do it that well. And I liken it to a lot of the struggles we have with relationships between congregations in the diocese. In some ways, it's the same kind of issues that we have. We're focused on what our issues are, but sometimes we forget that's not our only responsibility. So I like to be able to go there and have those opportunities to get fired up, because it's very exciting to hear what's going on. Those of us that went last time, the deputies from last time, we went to the Indian boarding school commission meetings and the roundtables, and were tremendously motivated to come back and see things happen in the Diocese of Wyoming. And as you well know, they are happening here. So that's part of our mission when we go, is to come back with the good things that are happening on that level and help share them around our diocese. I also feel like it's really important to have people like I'm not quite such a big church nerd as April, but people that really love the process, because, and you need this kind of balance between people who love the process and people who don't love the process. But if nobody on your deputation really gets why we do things the way we do, it all seems like this long, drawn out, tedious, why are we having all these conversations about all these things all the time? When that's part of how we build our relationships. So having that clarity about how the structure informs the experience is really important. And you need people on the deputation that have that prior experience to help the new folk that go get the most out of it. And so all those things are reasons why I have put my name in to be a deputy for the next General Convention.
Thank you so much. I think now we will open up the floor to questions. We have 10 minutes for questions. So if anybody has a question, please raise your hand, or you can raise it physically or raise the little virtual hand and I'll call on you. I think the first one I saw was Vernon. You had a question?
I was just going to let you know that Cami stated that she wasn't going to be able to come tonight, that she looks forward to seeing everybody at convention. You know, I've worked with her for a couple of years. I'm delighted to see all the great candidates we have for General Convention.
Thanks. Thank you for the update. Question, Christy Wallen.
Thank you. This one's for the lay deputy candidate, April. When you were there at the 81st, it was really fun following your progress and you went to the committee meetings, being an officer, I think was exciting. Nobody better to do that. But then I wonder about future leadership for our deputies in the Episcopal Church. Are there opportunities for people like April to take on additional leadership? And would you want to do that?
Thank you, Christy, for that question. So interestingly, the chance to serve on a legislative committee is actually, it's offered to any person in the House of Deputies, and then also Bishop Todd knows this very well, in the House of Bishops. And so you have members in those legislative committees that are from the House of Deputies, which is the lay and the clergy, and then um, the House of Bishops. And so it's a really interesting experience because you get to meet not only lay and clergy and but also bishops from around the world as well. From that experience, as it turned out, and I think I'm glad I did this. It just can sometimes be a little much, but I several of us from that governing body or that legislative committee decided to then run for um, various, I guess, what you might call, I'm forgetting the terminology for them. I know them very well, but it's like a standing commission or the various bodies, right? Task forces and stuff that you can apply for, and you can choose that. And I applied and ended up being named to the standing commission on ecumenical and interreligious relations. So, as it so happens, I happen to have stepped into that. I applied and then was named too. So, there are opportunities for both lay and clergy in the House of Deputies to stand into and in a sense bring Wyoming and perspectives from rural locations into the wider church body. And it really is it's quite a delight and an honor, really, to serve alongside people from all over. So, yeah, thank you for asking that, Christy.
Any other questions? Any questions for our clergy candidates? All right. Well, thank you to all the candidates for your introductions and answers. And I think we'll move on now to diocesan council.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have positions for 3 more governing bodies, just in case y'all are keeping track. So that would be the Diocesan Council, Standing Committee, and Foundation Board. And we're going to go in that order. So the Diocesan Council actually manages the administrative and financial operations of the diocese between annual conventions. So this position demands competency and willingness to learn governance, finance, administration, and strategic planning. The following positions are open for the Diocesan Council. 1 layperson for a 3-year term and 1 clergy person for a 3-year term. At this stage, we only have 1 candidate for each position, and we'll start with the lay candidate, Samantha Strickler. I did see Sam here earlier. Sam, please introduce yourself and tell us why you were running for Diocesan Council, including what you would bring to this position.
Hi, my name is Sam Strickler. I live in Worland, and I'm currently the parish administrator at St. Albans, and I've been at that position for 7 years. I really just I want to learn like what goes on. I want to learn the how it all works. I really that's kind of stuff that I like to do. I'm still learning stuff every day currently that new stuff that we're trying and things like that. And I'm just very curious. And I have ran a few other times, but it was always very impromptu. Like somebody was like, "You should stand up and nominate." I'm like, "Okay," but this time we did it proper. So
Thank you so much, Sam. And proper, not proper, the nominations are always open on the floor of the business meeting in the annual convention as well. So you weren't improper in previous times. And then we'll move on to the clergy candidate I don't know if I've seen Pam. Has anyone seen Pam Glasser?
I made it.
Oh, good. Perfect.
I had to go through a different route, but Jeannie got me there. Thank you.
Okay, great. So, Pam, please introduce yourself and tell us why you're running for Diocesan Council, including what you would bring to this position.
Thank you. Uh, yes, I'm currently supply priest by title. My home church in the town of Du Bois is my hometown, but I have served anywhere from Cheyenne to all four St. Andrew's churches, and currently probably several services in Thermopolis and Atlantic City coming up, including Christmas Eve in Thermop. So bringing the smaller churches that I've been serving, I attend all of the coffee hours. I try to listen to people's stories everywhere I go. And I want to carry their ideas with me. And I have a great weakness in the financial areas, having no basic training. I manage my own accounts pretty well, but I would like to learn that part of the business aspects of our church. And if there is ever an opportunity for me to be a priest in charge or a rector in the future, I know I need those skills. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot in the financial area of it. And I do have plenty of time, and I would carry the voices of all the churches that I'm serving the best I could to represent them on the council. So I do look forward to it if I can serve, and hope that that will be a possibility for me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pam. And now we're going to open the floor for questions for either of the candidates. Any questions you have for either of them or both of them?
I have a question that might be for Bishop Todd, actually. Since both of you have talked about wanting to be in a place where you can learn about things, is there going to be an onboarding by Melissa or someone that can help get that process started and make it a little easier for the new folks coming on?
Yeah, and what's ought to be, or seems like would be a regular, long-standing, well-established practice. Um, we will be having onboarding very intentionally for all of the bodies that are elected or appointed. And uh, Aaron Hasty from St. Andrews Pinedale, who has extensive experience both personally and professionally with board development, is going to assist us with developing that onboarding process. And the foundation has done a wonderful job in recent years of enhancing their onboarding processes. So we're going to be learning and borrowing, Christy, not stealing, maybe a little of both, ideas from the good work that they've been doing. So, because we want people who are willing to serve um, and who brings skills to it, but you don't have to have every one of the skills. We can help you gain that. We want all perspectives and voices. So, good question. Thank you, Vernon.
Any other questions? Okay.
April, I
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
a question and I waited for you to say okay, just because I didn't want to interrupt someone's question. But if I could invite Christy, we did disciplinary board first and we talked about the Reverend Mary Cockett and then she left and we have a layperson she couldn't come and Christy and I spoke to her on the phone. So I would just like
Oh,
to
yes.
so Christy, please speak to Lori.
Okay. So just yes, as a reminder, this is disciplinary board. We're going back before moving forward. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, switching back to disciplinary board, you will see on your ballot a woman named Lori Garrison. She is from Cheyenne, very accomplished, very energetic. She's a former Wyoming state legislator. She's a businesswoman, chairman of Rotary, but a couple different governors have appointed her to Wyoming's Board of Parole. So she knows discipline at a level that hopefully we will never have to experience or see. So she is not here tonight. She would have been, she just had a fairly major nasal surgery. And as you can imagine, she doesn't look like she would like to for a Zoom like this one. So I hope that you'll get to know her at convention. She's a good friend and she's just top rate.
Thank you to both Jeannie and Christy for ensuring that we heard about a candidate in absentia. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to standing committee now. Katie.
The standing committee serves as the bishop's council of advice and oversees ecclesiastical matters in the absence of the bishop. Candidates should have excellent advisory skills and a solid grounding in church doctrines. This year, there are 3 openings: one layperson for a 2-year term, one layperson for a 3-year term, and one clergy person for a 3-year term. Running for the 2-year lay position, and tell us why you are running for the standing committee, including what you would bring to this position.
So just to, Katie, we didn't hear the name. So that's Shirley Wildman. Shirley
Wildman.
Good evening. I'm Shirley Wildman. I'm also from St. Albans in Worland. I have served this diocese in many capacities over the last 12 years. I served as Regional 1 rep, and then I was elected to the council. I have been served the foundation as a representative from the council. I also serve on the St. Michael's Revitalization Task Force, and I serve the National Episcopal Church Women as a representative for Province 6. The standing committee is one that I know not a lot about. I would like to learn more about it. That's why I put my name in for the 2-year position, so that it could be a learning experience, but also I have good listening skills, communication skills, and I'm very willing to do whatever needs to be done in a capacity that would serve the diocese best.
Thank you, Shirley. We have 2 candidates running for a single 3-year lay position for the standing committee. First, Vernon Miller. Vern, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are running for the standing committee, including what you would bring to this position.
Sure. Well, thanks for being here tonight, all of us. I know we don't have enough meetings to go to, and we look forward to these, sort of. I moved to Thermopolis in 1979 to start a surgical practice and started attending Holy Trinity then. I brought twin boys at 6 weeks old there who became noisy little congregants and were welcomed. All 5 of my children have grown up in that church and really value the church family that we had, and I was grateful for that. I've served on the vestry. I've served as senior warden. My wife has served on the vestry and officer in the ECW. And when the bishop about 3 years ago asked me to consider being on the standing committee, I thought I need to expand and be helpful, because our church has been so helpful to our family and to me personally. It certainly started off quietly enough, and we had an onboarding that consisted of, well, hello, how are you? And that was about it. We didn't really quite know what we were doing. But we learned, because there's certainly been some challenges in the last couple of years that we'd had to face. And I think what was been most impressive to me is the Christian fellowship, the thoughtfulness, the integrity of the people on the standing committee and all of the other leadership positions in the diocese, which increasingly worked together to face those challenges. And it was tough. We had to do some learning. We had to come together. We had to face divisions among ourselves. And on previous board work, I think one of the best things I found was that when we could come together over a divisive issue and then all go together forward to solve that divisive issue, that was a great feeling. So I was also grateful for the help that the presiding bishop's office gave us, and others in the Episcopal Church. We're not supposed to say national church, I guess, so the Episcopal Church. And I'm grateful for the very calm and consistent spiritual and practical leadership that both Bishop Catherine Jeffords Shorey and that Bishop Todd have given us during this time. We've come a long way in the last couple of years. We've got a ways to go to prepare for all the changes and the challenges that are going to face us in the near future and the far future. I think we need to have strong laity leadership as well as strong clergy leadership, and we haven't always had that. So I would love to continue the work that I'm doing. I would love to be able to work with the rest of the standing committee. I have enjoyed it immensely, and I've enjoyed the people I've worked with, and I'd like the opportunity to continue on the standing committee for another 3 years. And I'd appreciate your support. And I'm certainly open to any questions. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Vernon. And Henry Nessel. Forgive me, Henry, if I mispronounced your name. I'll let you correct me. You are also running for a 3-year term on the standing committee. Henry, please introduce yourself and tell us why you are running for the standing committee, including what you would bring to the position.
Oh, hold
You're
on.
still muted, Henry.
There we go. Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought someone else had control of that. My name's Henry Nessel, and I am running for the standing committee. I'm new to the area. I moved to Wyoming in 2020 with my wife Linda, and we live in Newcastle area. And I attend Christ Church in Newcastle. I'm the senior warden also. The standing committee that I've worked with in the past was primarily on property oversight, and I'm a real property type guy or physical plant guy. And I understand the approval in the diocesan property hierarchy and would like to be a participant in that, but also under the Council of Advice. I come from a diverse background between two different governmental employments with fire and rescue and then with the federal government that led me on some unique paths in life. And I feel I have some unique things I can bring to the table. I can bring issues of funding. I can bring issues of authorities. Advice and counsel is something I had to give as a manager in the federal government and also in the fire rescue community. In the fire and rescue community, um, I'm retired for a very different reason. And most gentlemen or ladies in the fire rescue community get hurt physically. I was hurt emotionally, and I had to overcome that. And so part of that is becoming part of this community again. Been part of the Episcopal Church actually since I was 8 years old. It boils down to my father needed a babysitter for me, so he dropped me off the National Cathedral, and I was a choir boy there 5 days a week in the evening until he could pick me up after work. And that grew, and that was my parish actually for the longest time until I went to Rock Creek in the Northwest DC and then moved on to here. So I've got an extensive background there with senior warden, junior warden, vestry, building committees, working very closely with the Bishop of Washington during some trying times at St. Peter's Church. So I'd like to bring a diverse background and a diverse voice. And if y'all are willing to have that, I would love to serve this community and this diocese.
Thank you, Henry. The Reverend Melinda Bobo is running for a 3-year term clergy position on the standing committee. Melinda, please tell us why you are running for the standing committee and what you would bring to the position.
I am running for standing committee in part because, like Shirley, I don't have that much experience with it, and I would like to. I also have had over the years several people tell me I should think about that. And so it kind of came to the point of, well, it perhaps now is the time. And I've been reflecting on that for a while and decided that, now's the time to run. Partly what I bring is a lot of years of experience in the Diocese of Wyoming as well as other dioceses, both as a lay leader in multiple positions as well as a leader as a clergy person. I've had good relationships with the previous 6 bishops we've had in this diocese, both as a lay person and as a clergy person. And so partly I understand from all of their very varied experiences, what kinds of advice they seek and need. And that it's being able to communicate with people and not be intimidated by the position itself, I think has been an issue that we've grappled with in this diocese for some time. And I think our last diocesan bishop experience really kind of highlighted that's been an issue for us, that we've tended to put people on a pedestal and it doesn't work well when that happens. And that's one of those things that I've seen on the congregational level in a lot of the congregations I've served, struggling with the idea of rectors also being, here while the lay people are here, and struggling with that idea of a more balanced idea of sharing authority, collaborating more in the leadership and in the roles. And that I've been an advocate for that for a couple of decades. And so for me, serving on the standing committee gives me an opportunity to bring that perspective to that advisory committee, but also in terms of if we do have to function as the ecclesiastical head, or when we have to function as the ecclesiastical head, the idea that we've been spending time all along developing those skills and perspectives that will enable us to do that well. So that's what I bring to it, and that's what I hope to offer to the diocese.
Thank you, Melinda. The Reverend Christian Basil is running a 3-year term clergy position on the standing committee. Christian, please tell us why you are running for the standing committee and what you would bring to the position.
Yeah, thank you. Well, as many of you know, I am still pretty fresh to this diocese. I've been here just over a year now. I got to Wyoming in June of 2024. And really why I'm running is I would just love to be more involved and offer my services and my experience and my energy to the diocese in any way that I can. So I'd just like to be involved with whatever the bishop needs and whatever the diocese needs. And what I bring to it is a pretty varied background with lots of different church experience in very large church systems that help me bring an offering of organization and communication and structure. I've also been When I went to seminary, my diocese was going through its own division period where we were under the authority of the ecclesial authority of the standing committee and bishops provisional for about 10 years. So I've been on kind of that receiving end of being in a system that is both difficult and a blessing to be part of and work with. And so I think that bringing that background and that experience, both personally and professionally, within the church, would be an asset to the standing committee. And so I'd like to just offer and be part of that.
Thank you,
That's all.
Christian. You can open the floor for questions for candidates now. We'll give it about 10 minutes. See any hands raised? Anyone? No questions, huh? Okay. All right, if you all are happy with where we're at. Oh, wait, Vernon, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I should hit my little reaction and raise hand, but I didn't. So I guess I have a question for both of the candidates for the clergy position. It seems to me that we've been really working on strengthening the laity leadership to be able to help the clergy leadership. What do you see in the future for that, where we have, as Melinda said, is not, the person on top telling the group down below what to do and putting them on a pedestal, but rather all working together. Could each of you kind of tell me what you see and how you see making that come about?
Melinda, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
You go ahead and go. You got unmuted first.
Sure. That's a great question. I don't think that I've quite thought about that too much, but I think that there are plenty of ways for uh, parishioners, laity to be involved in the governance of the church. Um, I think that I don't know if you've held any workshops on empowering lay leadership or um, how clergy work with vestries or how different committees and organizations within the diocese work with laity. I just think that the more involved we can get people in in diocesan and church leadership, the better. Um, I think that in my own experience, um, here at St. Mark's, for example, there is a real difficulty in getting people to volunteer their time and to volunteer for different ministries. And that's a slow process of getting people um, invested in what it means to be the church, in what it means to um, take ownership of those ministries. And I think that's across the board. I think that's probably across the board for everybody. But I know that I've experienced that, and the ways that I do that is just by encouraging more community and greater community, and um, encouraging people to spend time with one another, which I think is what we don't do in the church very well anymore. We've gotten to, I think, so many places, not just in Wyoming, but across the church have become kind of uh, Sunday only, gatherings. And that for me is problematic because so much leadership happens just out of community and wanting to be together and doing things together. And so I think that's kind of where I would start with that.
I think partly it's a matter of the laity and kind of the laity revisioning how that relationship works, but I think it's also a matter of clergy also being trained on how to be more collegial in their leadership. I have found as um, both as a rector and now as an interim, and occasionally too as supply and as a ministry developer, a lot of what I had to do was say, no, I'm not going to do that. Lay people are perfectly capable of making this decision or carrying on this activity or whatever. And you need to do this. You need to own this. Because for me, it's a matter of, what, and it doesn't happen every time or in every congregation, but sometimes we have where a priest leaves or a rector leaves for whatever reason, and it's like you've cut the head off of an animal. And it's like everybody's going, oh, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And how do we ever get anything done? Oh, we've got to have a new priest so we can get anything done. And to have them understand, okay, here's what you need ordained clergy for. But here's what you are perfectly capable of taking care of yourselves. And so much of what you've put off on your clergy, because they'll take it and they'll do it because they love doing it, like doing all of the home visits or all of the visits to hospitals or nursing homes. You can do this. You can do this too. This can be a shared opportunity. And having those kinds of specifics where you can explain on both ends, here's where clergy need to slow down and don't be so quick to take things on. And here's where the laity need to be a little pushier and say, we can help you with this, or we can partner with you, or we can share this. So I think that would be my advocacy at the standing committee level, is to say, we're trying to change mindsets and they're not necessarily conscious. And so what we need to do is be very intentional about what expectations are for that clergy lay relationship, and then give people the tools to help make those adjustments.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you both for your responses to the question. Thanks for the question. Are there any other questions? Okay. If there are no questions, then I think we can go to our last section. Christian?
That's right. We are nearly done. Last but not least is we have one open 3-year term position for either a clergy person or a lay person on the foundation board. The board of the Foundation of the Episcopal Church in Wyoming oversees the foundation's mission, vision, and resources. The board meets regularly to manage approximately $115 to $120 million, including reviewing investment performance, to approve grants, and to oversee spending policy. Board members actively promote grants and conduct outreach. We have 3 candidates for the foundation board. And first we'll hear from Bradson Abrams. Brad, please introduce yourself and tell us why you're running for the foundation board, including what you would bring to this position.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me all right? I just unmuted. Yeah. My name is Brad Abrams, and I've been a member of St. John's in Jackson since 1999. When I moved to Wyoming, I found the Episcopal Church both a spiritual home and a community deep with grace and commitment. At St. John's, I've had a chance to serve in a number of roles on the vestry as part of our stewardship and discernment committees, as a Eucharistic visitor, and I've also completed the Sacred Ground program. Through all of these experiences, I've developed a deep appreciation for life of the wider church and the people that keep it strong. Professionally, I've spent over 4 decades leading organizations and working internationally. I currently serve as a trustee and past treasurer of the Jackson Elks Lodge. I also serve as a director for other domestic and international businesses. That work has taught me the importance of stewardship, collaboration, and building for the long term. I'm running for the foundation board because I want to help support ministries and people across the diocese, especially in communities where a little creativity and care can go a long way. I hope to bring practical experience a strategic mindset, and a heart for service to this role. Thank you for your time and for the many ways you serve our church and one another. And I'm kind of the newcomer to this group. I think it's been some years since I was involved with the diocese back in Bishop Caldwell's time. And I really look forward to getting more involved again outside of St. John's. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett. Shirley Wildman is also running for this position. Shirley, please tell us why you are running for the foundation board and what you would bring to this position.
Well, I have served on the foundation for the last 3 years as the delegate from the diocesan council, and I have been involved in the investment committee, the grants committee, and on the development committee. And it's been alluded to that the development committee right now is working on the onboarding for the foundation, and it's making great progress. It's one of the reasons I would like to stay involved, as well as the CapEx fund that's going to help many of the churches in our diocese help see that fund grow so that we can do bigger and better things for our churches in the Diocese of Wyoming. And that's why I'm running again.
Thank you, Shirley. And finally, Henry Nessel is also running. Please tell us why you are running for foundation board and what you would bring to this position.
Hello again. I'm Henry Nessel, and I'm running for foundation board because I have quite an extensive history of financial planning, financial assessment, and financial distribution with both volunteer organizations, a local foundation, which I am chairman of, and along with county government and federal government. In the federal government, I was authorized to handle multi-millions of dollars on a moment's notice and could easily have to make those decisions with a committee to get items and people out the door to get the job done. Let me see, my involvement in the church has been primarily, again, back in the Diocese of Washington. And in my lay leadership positions, I have been an LEM, lay Eucharistic minister, senior warden, junior warden, vestry. I also held a license to preach for a while, which I found very interesting. And that was under Father Charles Hoffacker. We have many things that we grant for. The first one listed is ministry. And I like the way we discussed this with ministry because I have been using ministry funds at Christ Church in Newcastle in a community ministry trying to gather folks back into the church. And it seems to be working a bit. It's Friday evening endeavor, usually once or twice a month. And without those funds, I couldn't do it. And so I'd like to make sure we have the ability to expand upon that and to make sure that our investments grow so we can expand upon that. Sacred spaces, our churches and our buildings are really, I understand in talking with some folks and firsthand with Christ Church in Newcastle, our sacred spaces need work. Some I understand one of the churches is currently not usable because of a mold issue. And these all cost dollars, and we have to decide what are we going to keep, what are we not, and how are we going to work with the bishop on that? Because all of that has to be done in very close consideration with the bishop and the other governance of the church. But my areas that I really would like to work with in funding are community outreach and ministry. Sacred spaces is another one. I have been very much involved in asking for grants for Christ Church in Newcastle, and I'm learning the procedures. So this is all going to be a learning endeavor for me because each time you join an organization, the methods are different. My fire service, my county, the foundation I chair, and this will all have different processes. And that's good. But you have to learn them, and it's good to be able to have different voices and different thoughts because by having multiple voices and many different directions, we can come together as one and to make sure that we fund our diocese in such a fashion that is best for all and our spiritual worship.
Thank you, Henry. We'll now open the floor for questions. Vernon, you've got a question?
Yes, I do. And it's for each of the three. There certainly has been some division of opinion as to what's the most important thing, growing the corpus, growing the balance of the 110 or 15 or $20 million, or spending that or some pieces of that to support the diocesan activities, which includes salaries and buildings and all kinds of stuff. How do you do both of those things, and how do you please both sides or kind of bring both sides together to see how we get that done so that we don't end up with, as some people are afraid of, $120 million and no Episcopalians or a lot of Episcopalians and no money. So, I mean, somehow or the other, you got to reach a middle ground. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because I certainly don't have the answers. So I'm going to be waiting for yours.
Brad, you'd like to go?
Yes, I think that's a great question. I think I'd say first, we're so blessed to have that resource in our diocese to support so many things. It's a tricky balance. The corpus of the foundation is protected, and I think the main factors there are going to be what the economic markets do and how it's managed. And it looks like it's been managed very well in the past. The draw is fixed, so we have fixed dollars. Obviously, if the corpus is bigger, we get a bigger draw. But personally, I think the biggest challenge will be to find ways of using the draw portion effectively to minister to the two sides for the future that I see. One is taking care of the needs of our existing diocese members. You look at the demographics of Wyoming. We have an aging population. We have a lot of people that have been here for a long time, churches that need to be maintained, and also to find ways for all those congregations to be able to find ministries to support their communities as well. I think the other side of it is looking for new ways of trying to attract younger people back into the church, looking to the future. That's our future, because I think you're right. We don't want to just watch things go down and wind up turning the lights out someday. So I think looking for new ministries and ways of using this grant money effectively is the top priority for me.
Thank you, Brad. Either Shirley or Henry, would you like to respond?
Shirley, you want to go first?
I will go ahead. It is a challenge. It's a large challenge. And I think the biggest thing that we have to do is we have to discern very carefully how we do this, but we also have to support the diocese. And that is the main function of the foundation, is to be their supporting entity. And that will be through programming and other things that the diocese and the council and the finance committee come together and work with the foundation to develop these programs. And also, then we have to also look at these churches that have been let go for many, many years. And now all of a sudden we need to fix them. And that was a real brilliant idea of the investment committee before I actually became part of the foundation, as they looked at taking some of the money and putting it aside so that we can repair these buildings that have been let go. And I just think it's going to take a lot of communication and a lot of discernment on both sides and working together as a team rather than I want and you can't have. And I think we need to just listen very carefully to each other.
Thank you, Shirley. Henry, would you like to respond?
First of all, as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking back many years on what would Jesus do? We have to think about how we worship and where and when we worship. Every morning I wake up and I thank Christ for another day. And every evening I thank him for the completion of that day. But in this one, it's a combination of people and physical plants. And we need to have both because we need a place to house our people, but yet we also need to bring the people in. Housing is interesting. I learned something long ago in the fire service, and when one day I wasn't wearing my tie properly, and my captain yelled at me, "Young man, if you look good, you are good." Well, does that same apply to our churches? If they are run down, if you walk in and it's not a pleasant environment, then that is not an environment where people would like to stay. But yet, it's also our evangelism that's going to bring them. So it's a combination of both. We're going to need to be evangelistic and bring people in, especially with this new movement that's going on since the recent assassination. And also to make sure our plant and our physical properties are ready to bring them in and to house them. I fully understand about the condition of our buildings based upon my association with the Christ Church. And I like the idea that there's a group out there looking at every one of our churches in the diocese. I guess I'm one that likes to move things a little quicker than a couple of years, but we need to look at it carefully. On a physical plant basis, I've got a past history of being a building inspector for the fire service and a life safety code inspector, and so I fully understand the buildings. On the people side, as a paramedic, I have brought new life into the world, and I have held the hand of the ones passing out or passing away. So I've seen so many angles of it, both from the physical side, the emotional side, the people side. The our biggest resource though is going to have to be our people and bringing people in and making sure that we can all come together under the one roof, and again doing it all for Christ.
Thank you, Henry. Are there any other questions for our candidates? All right. No, I think we'll turn it over to April.
All right. Well, before I lead us in our conclusion, I think I just want to make a statement and an observation that our diocese has some really incredibly talented and gifted humans. And I'm grateful to be a part of this diocese. I see all that you all have to offer, and it's just beautiful to watch. So thank you. So just as a reminder, you can find information about the annual convention that will be in Rollins at the link in the chat. So Jeannie can put that link back in there. We do hope to see many of you there. As mentioned earlier, but I will state it again because we've had some discussions in chat around it. Nominations can also be made anytime before the convention at the nominations link that she's now going to be putting in the chat, and or during the business meeting at the annual convention. So if anyone is here and is contemplating the possibility, you can definitely tell that, especially when it comes to general convention deputies, we need 16 people. And I think there were only 5 of us, maybe. So we have 11 people to go. So consider that as a possibility. But certainly there are other governing bodies that you can put your name forward for as well. So we do want to encourage folks to continue to pray about whether to step in as a candidate for any of these positions. And I think what I might do is actually ask Christian to close us in prayer as we look ahead to discernment with this election process that's coming forward.
The Lord be with you.
Awesome.
And also with you.
Let us pray. Gracious and life-giving God, we give you thanks for this time together, for this time of fellowship and discernment, for the leadership of your church, both lay and clergy, for the ways that we come together as God's people. We ask you to be with all of our candidates, all of our parishioners, all of the people who make up this Diocese of Wyoming, and all of our neighbors. Fill us with your spirit and lead us where you would have us go. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Blessings. Be safe.